And welcome
to Nightmare Nation,
the paranormal podcast where we talk about haunted places around the world.
And scary things.
And demons.
And ghosts.
And cults.
And witches.
And graveyards.
And seances.
And, I was going to say demons. I already said demons.
I was going to say serial killers, but then it came out as seances.
Seances, also serial killers.
Yeah, all the things
accurate.
That are scary, terrifying, unknown, creepy. Yep. Just those things is what we talk about.
If it keeps you up at night and makes you want to sleep with the lights on, we want to talk about it.
Hell yeah.
We have a sick sense of, I don't know, we have a twisted interest in these things.
It's just so fascinating.
It's cool because it's this sort of question of, one, is it all real? Which I truly don't believe there's a definitive answer.
No.
And two, it's like why you stare at things that are like creepy or odd, because there's this like deep innate human curiosity to try to like dig into like, why is that like triggering my fear response? Like, why is this scary to me? And it's like thrilling.
Yeah.
Like, people don't get why I watch horror movies. It's because it's exciting and
you
like
don't know what's
going to
happen.
Yes, and you're like triggering a very like old ancient part of your brain that's that like fight or flight response, and there's just something exhilarating about it.
And it's something that could happen to us, but it hasn't. Hopefully it never does.
Keep my fingers crossed that it won't.
Exactly.
I don't know. Some of this shit we started watching. We started watching a movie called Clown Doll.
Oh gosh.
And it got like weird and boring in the middle, so we stopped watching it. But there was like this 4-foot tall clown doll that this girl buys for her unborn child as a gift.
Why? Why do you have to buy clown things?
She pays real United States currency $50 for this thing. I'm like, I would pay someone else $50 to take this thing away from me, and she pays money
to
for
burn
this
it.
thing. Yes. And she takes it, and it's got this horrible face. It's so creepy. And then in the movie, it's standing up and, like, walking around as it's killing people. This, like, freaking 4-foot tall clown doll. And this girl, it's so funny. She, like, gets her hand stabbed with a pencil because the clown doll stabs her. And she's like, oh, my God. And then she's running away. And at the bottom of the stairs, she steps on, a piece of broken ceramic that stabs her foot. But, like, you can see it maybe at most goes, like, a half an inch into her foot. But then she's crawling away on the floor.
Okay, I think you'd be able to run.
I'm pretty sure you could just stand up and, like, hop on one foot if you needed to. And the clown is, like, slowly walking behind her, and it's coming.
Oh,
and she's
no, I can't get away.
She's like, oh, and there's, like, this trail of blood. I'm like, your foot would not be bleeding that bad. It barely touched you. And she, like, dies because she's crawling away. And so, long story short, I don't think a clown doll will ever come to life and kill me.
I don't think so.
However, some of the things we talk about, I truly believe could happen to me.
Serial killers.
Like serial killers.
I feel like everybody in their life has come in contact with a serial killer.
And not known it.
Yeah.
Or like...
And maybe you just got lucky and you weren't his victim.
Or that theory of like, 7 degrees of separation? How every single person on planet Earth is connected by like 7... like if you look at like this person's relative and then this person's best friend, like we're all connected to essentially like everybody else, which is cool, but that also means you are somehow connected to a serial killer. I guarantee if they're not your relative, you have a friend whose cousin was best friends with them or something, and it's terrifying.
Everyone knows one.
I love it.
So weird. I have been on a serial killer crime true crime binge on just everything.
That's the best kind of
everything
binge.
On Hulu. I just found it. Like there was this one that I watched. It was Children of the Snow, I think. And it was a serial killer who went around in the 50s who killed 4 children. And it was a cold case, and they never found him.
Oh, that's so crazy. It's like the Atlanta child murders that they talk about. Oh, you haven't seen season 2 of Mindhunter, have you? Or have you?
I think I have. I just, when I've watched it, I haven't paid attention to it.
Yeah, well, and the season 2 is kind of hard to follow if you're not paying super close attention, but there was this, like, serial killer killing black children in Atlanta for, I don't know, I think, like, 13 kids died or something ridiculous, and they never caught the guy. I'm like, what?
That's crazy.
I think they ended up pinning it on this one person who, like, went to jail for it, but everyone, like, no one believes that he actually did it, and there's no, like, definitive proof that he did. I'm probably misquoting the case, but Yeah. Oh, that's crazy.
Or it's like the Zodiac Killer.
Yeah.
That one is still so weird and fascinating.
Uh-huh.
Like, you think about how many people get murdered in, like, a year. And most of them, they catch the person who did it. Mm-hmm. But then you get serial killers, and then they can't find them.
Yeah.
Like, what? How?
Yeah.
Are serial killers just so...
They're probably...
like fixed on making sure they don't leave anything, and they're just so careful with what they do, whereas someone who's just an average Joe just thinks that they're able to cover it up, but in reality they botched everything.
Yeah, well, like, think about a serial killer. Like, you essentially turn the murdering and concealing of evidence of people into, like, your job. Like, it is your career.
Yeah.
Like, think about freaking Joseph D'Angelo, the East Area rapist, the Visalia ransacker, or whatever, the guy who committed like 1 billion crimes over the course of 30 years and never got caught. Like, that was his full-time job.
That's true.
Versus like the random crime of passion where the guy finds out his girlfriend's cheating and he goes and kills her. That's I feel like those are so much more clear-cut, and because usually in these one-off things there's motive. And so that it can help you connect the dots better versus these ones where it's like there is no motive other than they like it.
I suppose. It just serial killers.
Fascinating. We may have to do another serial killer special at some point, because that was super fun to talk about.
So much fun.
If you guys liked that, let us know.
Because there's so many other serial killers out there.
So many. My gosh. But we're going back to our true roots here and talking about a haunted place today.
Heck yeah.
Also, I did confirm my parents... For those of you who listened to our last episode, my parents went to the Red Onion Saloon and took a tour and got to see the upstairs brothel, like, museum part.
Fucking sweet.
It's so cool. I was like,
what?
The whole time I was doing that episode, I'm like, I swear my parents went to Skagway. I'm pretty sure they went there, and I confirmed after we recorded that they did indeed go there.
That's so neat.
They weren't able to take pictures because they had they were part of, like, a Alaskan cruise, and they had some strict rules about photos, I guess. But, yes, they went there. So. Yeah. If you guys have been to the Red Onion Saloon, let us know.
Let us know. Did they experience anything?
Mm-mm.
No.
Nope, they just did like a quick tour during the day. So they did not experience anything.
Okay.
But they did go there, which I thought was cool.
That's so cool.
So, friends.
Where are we going tonight, Annie?
We are going to Fort Mifflin.
Fort Mifflin.
Fort Mifflin.
It just makes me think of Fort Muffin.
Oh my God, I'm so glad you said that, because that's all I could think about the entire time. I kept seeing Fort Mifflin and then reading it as Fort Mufflin and then thinking about muffins.
I'm glad we're on the same path.
And it was so distracting. Oh my God. I could not stop thinking about muffins.
That's all I would think about.
It's so funny.
I love muffins.
I'm so glad you said that, because I wasn't going to say anything, but I totally was thinking about muffins the whole time. But this is Fort Mifflin.
Mifflin, not muffin.
Which was originally called the Fort Island Battery.
Oh.
And also known as Mud Island Fort.
What?
Mud Island Fort. That sounds like something
That's really weird.
Your kindergartner builds in the summer when it rains. They create a mud island and then they build a fort on it.
Mom, look what I did!
It's Mud Island, Mom! Like, what? This is a real place we're talking about, and I just can't believe they named it Mud Island Fort.
Oh, that's awesome.
So, Mud Island Fort was commissioned in 1771 and sits on Mud Island. Also known as Deepwater Island.
So many names.
So many non-creative names.
Right?
Mud Island, Deepwater Island. Like,
can you come up with something better?
So unexciting. I guess they might be accurately named. It's pretty clear that there's probably a lot of mud and water, but I don't know. So they're on the Delaware River below Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, near the Philadelphia International Airport, where it sits today. Upon the foundation of Philadelphia in 1681, Mud Island, near the confluence of the Delaware River and Schuylkill River, near the confluence. Does that mean where they meet?
Sure.
The convergence?
Maybe. That would make sense.
Yeah.
If they're two different rivers.
I cut and pasted a lot of this from Wikipedia, by the way. This is all from Wikipedia. Hey, I'm Annie.
Hey, what's up? I'm Anna.
Hey, okay.
That's us.
Not too bad.
We're here.
Not too bad. We remembered to do it before we got to the end of the episode.
Yeah, we did.
Okay, so where these two rivers meet is where Mud Island is, and it was recognized as a strategically important location for the defense of the settlement of Philadelphia. So by the 1740s, it ranked as the richest British port in the New World, and by 1771, Philadelphia ranked as the largest British port and dockyard in all of North America. So this was a strategically important location in colonial America. So when the locals eventually rose in protest against British economic policies and imports, aka the start of the American Revolution, in response to complaints by the Secretary of State for the Colonies, Pennsylvania Governor John Pell asked General Thomas Gage to send someone capable of designing defenses for the city.
Oh my.
I will rephrase. Essentially, people start... There's rumors of like an uprising, like people start getting upset with the British, and the people are concerned that if it eventually comes to a conflict, there's no defense for the city. It's an important port area. It'd be really easy for the British to come in and like access their area. So the people were like, hey, we need to like build a defensive structure here because if it comes to war, which it sounds like it's going to, we're going to need something. Mm-hmm. So Thomas Gage. So he intended a fort on Mud Island to help regulate traffic entering and exiting the port. Gage assigned Captain John Montresor of the British Corps of Engineers to the task. Montresor presented 6 designs to Penn and the Board of Commissioners, and ultimately the board proposed constructing a fort on Mud Island. Oh, that name is so dumb. Mud. The commissioners reviewed the plans, found them all to be too expensive, and insisted on economy despite Montresor's protests. Montresor stated that his preferred plan cost about 40,000 pound. Yeah, it would have been British pounds. Not sure about currency here.
Did you not write it down?
It's just the symbol. I think it's pounds.
Yeah, that's pounds.
Yep. And that he intended to mount, quote, 32 pieces of cannon, 4 mortars, and 4 royal howitzers, which makes me think of dogs. Isn't that a type of dog?
Howitzer? Oh, fuck.
Or did I just make myself sound like the biggest idiot who ever lived?
Ooh,
I forgot to Google.
Howitzer?
It's a type of cannon.
It's a big cannon.
I think I made that up. I think that is not the breed of a dog. And I think it just, when I Googled howitzer dog, it's just showing me dogs that are loosely related to the gun in some way. Because nothing else. Okay, so I'm an idiot. Don't listen to me about anything dog related because I don't know what I'm talking about. Okay, so 4 howitzers. And then he also wanted 6 men... which at 6 men each make 240 men required.
What?
Whoa.
What is that sentence?
160 musketry in all 400 garrison. Okay, that was a direct quote from like a proposal back in like the 1700s. I guess English worked a little differently back then.
Sounds like fucking gibberish.
We'll just move on from that.
All right.
The Colonial Provincial Assembly passed a bill releasing £15,000 for the construction of the fort and the purchase of Mud Island from the guy who owned it, who was the Speaker of the House at the time, I guess. The board instructed Montresor to begin construction, but failed to provide him with the funds that he considered necessary to do so properly. So he gets super freaking butthurt about it. He's like pissed. So on June 4th, 1772, Montresor left a head workman in charge of the construction project and basically went back to New York because he was pissed. He didn't want to keep working on it. He's like, you take care of this. I'm done. Mm-hmm. The project continued for about a year, but then it stopped for lack of guidance because their head guy left, and then they didn't have enough funding. So they basically completed an east and south wall.
Oh, good.
Yep.
Okay.
Great.
Perfect.
So,
it's going to do a lot for you guys.
Uh-huh. So now we're in, like, the Revolutionary War. It's full-blown. It's happening. The adoption of the Declaration of Independence happens, and Benjamin Franklin headed a committee to provide for the defense of Philadelphia because, of course, it came to war, as everyone was worried about just, like, 5 years before. So the Philadelphia Committee of Public Safety restarted the construction on the fort and finally completed it in 76. The Americans intended to use this fort and Fort Mercer, which is another fort on the other side of the Delaware River, to control the activity of the British Navy on the river, guarding against General Howe and Admiral Reynolds' advanced naval fleet on the Delaware. Mm-hmm. However, after the defeat of Washington at the Battle of the Brandywine, which that is the coolest battle ever.
Brandywine. Are
Battle of the
battling
Brandywine.
over brandy and wine?
I sure hope so. I also, my nerd brain immediately goes to Lord of the Rings because there's a Brandywine bridge in Lord of the Rings that's featured in the first movie. And I was like, Lord of the Rings, the Battle of the Brandywine. Oh my God. And I was such a dork. Okay, so Washington loses. The British take control of Philadelphia in September of 1777. And then the British forces laid siege to Fort Mifflin and Fort Mercer in early October. So the British Army intended the siege to open up the supply line via the Delaware River. And Captain John Montresor,
Ooh,
he's back.
He's back.
But not only did he plan and build the siege works used against Fort Mifflin, he also led the siege and destroyed much of the fort.
What a dick!
He's so butthurt, you guys. He's so
my God.
butthurt. So he comes back.
Like the ultimate revenge.
Yes, he comes back as a British captain and is like, fuck you all. I'm a lay siege to your fort.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, it is like the biggest freaking middle finger he could have ever flipped.
I was gonna say, when you said that they hired a British person to commission this, I was like, that is the dumbest fucking idea you could think of.
Yeah, good
because
point.
he could just turn on you because he knows what you fucking built and he knows where everything is. He can just go back to the British and be like, hey, guess what?
Yeah.
Let's go get him. I know how it's set up.
That's an excellent point. I didn't even think about
God.
that. Like, not good planning.
Stupid boys.
And that's exactly what happened. He came back and was like, fuck you guys. Not like they finished much of the fort before he left. They built like 2 walls, so he didn't really have a lot of intel. But
Nope.
So I just thought that was hilarious. He like comes back and then lays siege to it.
That's what I would do.
So during the siege, 400 American soldiers held off more than 2,000 British troops and 250 ships.
Wow.
Until November 10th, 1777, when the British intensified their assault, launching an incessant barrage of cannonballs into the fort. Defending the riverway, Commodore John Hazelwood, with a sizable fleet of galleys, sloops, and fire vessels.
Like sloots?
Sloops. I don't know, some kind of ship, I'm guessing? Also, is a fire vessel just like a ship that like breathes fire? Like, what is that?
They actually have a dragon.
That's cool. That's some cool shit. See, Middle Earth. We're back in Lord of the Rings world.
Exactly.
So they constantly harassed British river operations while patrolling waters around the fort. So 4 days later, on November 15th, the American troops finally had to evacuate. However, their stand at Fort Mifflin effectively denied the British Navy free use of the Delaware River and allowed for the successful repositioning of the Continental Army for the Battle of White Marsh and subsequent withdrawal to Valley Forge. Don't know what those are.
Okay.
I won't tell you about them because I didn't look them up.
Perfect.
So what's cool is that all in all, Fort Mifflin experienced the heaviest bombardment of the entire American Revolutionary War.
Oh, damn.
With the siege leaving 250 of roughly 450 men to garrison at the fort killed or wounded. Comrades in arms ferried these dead and wounded to the mainland before the final evacuation, and Fort Mifflin never again saw military action.
Damn.
Yeah.
I just think it's so weird back then how many battles and wars they had. And nowadays it's like nothing.
Right. We've moved past like skirmishes in the field.
Yeah.
At least on our like home turf.
Yeah. It's just weird.
It is weird.
And they used to go to battle with both sides and then you just fucking die.
Yep.
Going at each other.
Right. Yeah, there is no like just all out battlefield strategy tactics.
No.
Like flank this army and then go here. Like there are no like armies anymore.
No,
I feel
it's
like
just
it's all like this very secretive covert operations stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I was gonna say I'm totally speaking outside of my area of expertise here.
Yep.
If someone's got insights and we're wrong, tell us.
I don't know what the military
really know
does
what they're doing,
and what their missions are.
but I'm
and
assuming
the
it's
multiple
not
missions that they have, and all their undercover CIA missions and NSA missions,
Yeah.
and alien missions, flight missions,
especially the alien missions.
They got that shit covered up hardcore.
We all know that the government is hiding an alien laboratory underground in, was it Nevada?
Area 51 and what is it? No, it's New Mexico.
Yeah. Skinwalker Ranch? No.
Was it?
No,
there was a fort something underneath.
What was
because
that
the guy got attacked by aliens.
Yes. And then they found
it?
They said they found like blueprints for this giant like thing.
Yeah.
Oh my god, what was that? Yeah!
Okay, that's right.
There it is.
Yep,
I was
yep.
like, I knew it wasn't... Yep, Dulce Base in New
Dulce
Mexico.
Base.
I was
That's
like, I knew it wasn't freaking... I knew it was similar to Skinwalker, but it wasn't Skinwalker.
Yep.
Yes. Okay, that was episode 29.
We got it.
We got it. Okay. Fort Mifflin. So, continuing on in our historical timeline, the ruins of Fort Mifflin lay abandoned until 1793 when rebuilding began under what was later called the first system of U.S. coastal fortifications. So they start building up all these forts along the coast. Pierre L'Enfant.
Ooh, look at you, little
Frenchy French.
Yeah,
who was also responsible for planning Washington, D.C., supervised the reconstruction and designed the rebuild in 1794. So this guy at least, like, knows what he's doing and isn't going to freaking peace out in the middle of the project and then come back and bombard it later.
Perfect.
Reconstruction work began on the fort in 1795 with the initial goal of rebuilding the fort to accommodate 48 guns. So I'm going to kind of skip over the next part because essentially it's like, oh, then they rebuilt this and then they added cannons and then it cost this much money and then they built this and it's just like not exciting. So essentially they add on a bunch of shit. They
like
built
every other place we've ever talked about.
And this goes on for like 40 years and it's like, in this year they did this and it's just not exciting. So essentially they like add on a bunch of shit. They build a blacksmith shop in there, which is kind of cool. Mm-hmm. And that is probably the oldest surviving complete structure at Fort Mifflin. They're not
cool.
totally sure, but they think it was built sometime before 1802 and it's still standing, which is awesome.
Oh, damn.
Okay, so now skip forward to 1820. So after the construction of Fort Delaware that same year, Fort Mifflin was relegated to secondary status, and during the 19th century, the area around the fort was drained and filled until Mud Island connected the western bank of the river. It's no longer an island.
Okay.
They drained the river, I guess?
How the fuck does that work?
Diverting the flow of water somewhere else, I guess, or building a dam.
I feel like a dam.
Yeah, I'm not.
I don't know how that stuff works.
Totally sure. So it's no longer an island, but they still essentially kept people garrisoned at Fort Mifflin, which is kind of cool. In the early 1820s, the Army began meteorological observations at the fort.
Oh, that's neat.
They just started recording, like, weather stuff.
Neat.
Yeah.
That's fun.
It's a little, like, weather station
weather
outpost. Okay, so during the Civil War, the Union Army used Fort Mifflin to house Confederate prisoners of war. And we all know super happy things happen when you've got prisoners of war. So that's probably why this place is haunted.
Of course.
So they also held Union soldiers and civilian prisoners as well. Various people wrote graffiti inside the cell doors of the inner walls of the holding cells during the 1860s. And they also left behind like a couple of little trinkets that they were able to recover that were dated from 1864.
Oh, damn.
So they had a wine token? Question mark?
Oh.
I don't know if that's like a drink ticket or something. I don't know, but they found a penny and it was dated to 1864.
That's cool.
And they found them in the holding cells, so I thought that was neat. So the Union Army accused William H. Howe, one of its soldiers, of desertion, found him guilty of murder, and imprisoned him famously at Fort Mifflin in January 1864. Howe led an attempted escape of 200 prisoners that same year. Afterwards, Howe was housed... How was housed? I don't like that
terrible.
sentence. Oh my God. Okay. Afterwards, Howe was housed in a solitary confinement cell in casemate number 11. And I think they named that relatively recently. It's just like one of the holding cells, I think, but they refer to it a lot as casemate number 11.
Oh.
And this is where he left his signature on the wall. I don't know if it's still there. Maybe it is. I don't know.
That'd be cool.
In April that same year, Howe was transferred to Eastern State Penitentiary.
Hey, full circle.
It's coming full circle.
That's cool.
We're making connections.
Hell yeah.
But then he was transferred back.
Oh, okay. Well.
He was briefly held in the fort's wooden guardhouse prior to his execution on the gallows, which were steps away from the guardhouse. Howe's hanging was before an audience of people who paid for tickets to watch.
Why? Why would you want to go watch that? That's what I don't understand back then is they made these things into events.
Like a freaking spectacle.
Yes.
And it's so creepy. And the only thing I can think of is it's during like the Civil War and people, like your comrades in arms are dying. Like there's emotions and tensions are running high. And this person who like tried to help all these prisoners escape and like was accused of desertion and murdered someone, like people just want catharsis.
Yeah.
And maybe that helps them feel like more patriotic, or that like justice is being served if they can watch. I find it horribly creepy, but I don't know what it's like to live in Civil War America times, so it's hard to say.
No. Yeah. I couldn't do it.
Yes. There were 3 other men who were also executed at the fort, but they did not have paying audiences. They weren't cool enough. So
they just died alone.
Yes. So then, of course, between then and basically up until World War II, there's a bunch of other renovations and upgrades, and they decommissioned certain wings and stuff and all that boring junk.
Normal stuff.
Yep. During the Second World War, the Army stationed anti-aircraft guns at the fort to defend nearby Fort Mifflin Naval Ammunition Storage Depot.
Oh.
NASD for short. And the Philadelphia Naval Shipyard. Not really anything else exciting. In 1954, the fort fell out of use as a military post and closed, ranking among the oldest forts in continuous use in history.
Oh, that's cool.
Well, in the history of the U.S. G.E. Brumbaugh renovated the interior of the storehouse in 1960, and in the 1980s, Harold Finnegan, who was executive director of the fort, renovated the exterior. More renovations. Okay, so 1962, the federal government deeded Fort Mifflin to the city of Philadelphia. In 1969, an architect restored the blacksmith shop and the forge. In the 1980s, they restored the blacksmith's building entirely. The commandant's house was destroyed by an accidental fire started by camping Boy Scouts.
Oh, no!
In the late 1970s.
Silly Boy Scouts?
Yes, silly babes!
Burning down buildings?
Oh my god, it was like, this is the oldest, most continuously used fort in American history, and you freaking
burn it down?
Destroyed part of it with your campfire because you neneeded to roast hot dogs, god damn it! Get it together. You guys are supposed to know what you're doing.
Seriously.
I thought that was funny.
Oh, gosh.
So basically, after that, they had to, restore a bunch of stuff. So they restored the artillery shed, the hospital, the officers' quarters, the arsenal, soldiers' barracks, and the North and West Sally ports.
Oh, my.
Yes.
It's a lot.
Yes.
The Boy Scouts burn all that down?
No, they just burnt down the one house, and then they just decided as long as they were redoing it, I guess, let's redo everything.
Okay, I was going to say, good lord, they damaged a lot.
Yeah, they did.
Fuck.
Okay. Yeah, and then it wasn't until 2006 that they rediscovered and unearthed the Casemate 11 area that I talked about earlier.
Okay.
So that was relatively recent that they even found that it existed, which is cool.
That's cool.
So Fort Mifflin is actually still an active base for the United States Army Corps of Engineers, and as a result, yeah, they use it for stuff.
Oh, that's cool.
I don't know if it's just where they do schooling and training or whatever.
Yeah.
But yeah, they're still using it.
Huh.
So as a result, it's currently the oldest active military base in the country.
That's neat.
And the only base in use that predates the Declaration of Independence.
Huh.
Because it was built before the war, which is awesome.
That's awesome.
So basically, Fort Mifflin is the only military base in use that is older than the nation itself and is now a National Historic Landmark.
Oh, neat.
Neat.
Gosh, that's so cool.
That was a highly condensed and yet somehow still strangely detailed account of the history of Fort Mifflin.
Well, yeah, because, it's fucking 1770s.
Yep.
Super old. It's
a
lot of fucking history to go through.
8 billion wars that have been held on American soil since then. So.
Exactly. So, because of how old it is.
And all the people that died there.
It's the fort and battles.
Prisoners.
Gettysburg.
Torture.
Yeah.
Dead people.
Of course.
Yeah.
There's ghosts.
Is there some ghosts?
So many ghosts.
Let's hear about it.
So Fort Mifflin, I got all my sources from WeirdUs.com. I think it's supposed to be
Weird US. I was going to say, I think it's probably Weird US, but Weird Us.
WeirdUs.com.
That should be our website.
Oh, that'd be perfect.
Weird Us. Welcome.
Yay.
Welcome to our website. We are weird.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
BizJournals.com. HauntedPlacesToGo.com and SouthPhillyReview.com.
Nice.
So I'm just gonna kind of go into all of the hauntings. I'm gonna go into this room and then this room. I'm just gonna tell you.
You just read them off that list.
Gonna tell them to you.
Yep.
So, on the second floor balcony of the barracks is often visited by the spirit of a lamplighter. This is
I thought you were just going to end it at lamp, the spirit of a lamp. And I was picturing this little ghost lamp, fucking floating around.
Floating around.
Oh my god. I was about to laugh so hard. And you're like, lamp lighter. That makes so much more sense than a
Not
fucking
just a floating
spirit
lamp.
God, I want a
That's
ghost
awesome.
lamp.
That'd be so cool.
Yeah, and it just can like
Just light
float
your
around.
way.
Yeah, and just like float around beside you, and you
be
never have to
perfect.
flip a light switch again. It's
Gosh,
just there.
That'd be perfect.
Okay.
All right.
Sorry.
So the lamplighter is the man who lit the oil lamps every evening, and though he's a pale and barely discernible figure in the twilight, people can see him carrying a long pole with a dimly flickering light on the end.
Aww.
So he's still going around lighting
He
lamps.
just wants to bring a little bit of light to a dark world, you
yeah,
guys.
yeah, that's all he
I
wants to do.
love him.
Okay.
I love him. He's my favorite.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So like Annie talked about the casements.
Casemate? Casemate.
Casemate. But was it one thing?
There's a bunch of casemates. 11 was a famous one for solitary confinement of prisoners.
Was it the most heavily bombarded area?
Maybe.
Because that's what this says.
Okay.
I don't know.
You go for
Casemate
it.
or casements. We're not sure.
Casemate.
Which was probably the most heavily bombarded area during the siege of 1777. It is the site of too many sightings to number.
Whoa, too many.
Too many. They couldn't go into details.
Too much ghosts.
Yes. So most of the sightings here are pale outlines that could be written off as over-imagination. So they're just seeing all these pale figures walking around.
And they're just like, you guys, there's too many of this.
Yeah.
You probably made that up. Okay.
It's not real. There's also the faceless man, who was the ghost of a war criminal, William Howie.
How? I think it's How.
Howie.
Yeah, he was the one who had a... Howie. How was housed in the How. He's the one that got executed with an audience.
Yeah. So like Annie said, he was the one held in the cells during the Civil War and was held for killing during wartime and was hanged. And he appears these days. And he's fairly easy to see.
Why is he faceless, though? That's so gross.
Oh, just wait.
Okay.
The reason why he's faceless is before the hanging, they would supposedly put their heads and tie it up into black bags as a mark of their shame.
Oh.
So they put like a little
Like a sack over the
yeah,
head?
Yeah. A little sack.
That makes me think
And
of
tie it.
in Sinister. You remember that movie?
Oh, yeah.
When the whole family's like hanging from the
Yep.
tree and they all have sacks over their heads.
Yep.
That is a great movie, by the way, you guys.
It's
That
so
is
good
my
and
favorite
so
horror movie
fucking creepy.
of all time. That is the only time ever watching a horror movie where I legitimately paused and tried to determine whether or not we wanted to finish it that night or wait
really?
until the next morning. Yes, I remember Anders and I watching it in college vividly, and we literally had to pause and like take a break and be like, do we want to finish this movie now? Or should we wait until tomorrow morning? Because this is fucking scary. It's so scary.
creepy.
It's so creepy.
Oh my gosh.
Yes.
But it's so good.
It's really good. Okay.
So the next ghost is the screaming lady, who is the loudest of the ghosts at Fort Mifflin.
Screaming lady.
I want to be the screaming lady in my afterlife.
Be the screaming lady. Just, oh, are you trying to sleep?
Sorry, bitches, you ain't sleeping tonight.
Bitches.
Come at me.
That's so funny.
So she's never actually been seen, but wails from the old officers' quarters.
Oh, nice.
She is said to be Elizabeth Pratt, an 18th century neighbor of the fort whose daughter took up with an officer. Elizabeth renounced and threw her daughter out, who died shortly after from dysentery.
Oh, nice, Mom.
Yep. So Elizabeth was consumed with guilt that she had killed her daughter.
Well, good.
For kicking her out, that she took her own life.
Oh.
She's not the only sound to be heard at the fort. Near the blacksmith shop, the rhythmic clash of hammers against an anvil often sound out, only to be silenced when people come by to peer into the empty, echoing room. They just stop.
They just stop.
They just stop.
It made me think of, where was it? Where there was like, someone was it Moon River Brewery? Brewery? Where they were like having parties in the basement and then someone would come to like check and then all the party sounds would just stop.
I think so.
How like unsettling would that be? You're just like,
That'd be so weird.
I'm hearing this like ringing out, clanging blacksmith's hammer and then just nothing. Just when you peek in, it stops. That'd be so creepy.
That'd be so weird. So there were 3 people who decided to spend the night at Fort Mifflin, where they, so the fort offers like overnight stays at the fort. You can do like a 6-hour investigation, or you can do a ghost.
Oh, like a paranormal stay.
Yeah.
Not just like a sleepover.
No.
Cool.
Yeah. Or they do, I think it's like a twilight candle lit ghost tour of the area.
Kind of sounds like a seance.
I know. Okay. So they offer all sorts of things. So these people opted for the overnight ghost investigation. The group was led by a guy named Rodney, who is an atheist and doesn't seem to be afraid of anything. He was supposedly a rock star in the 80s for a band. I don't remember which band it was. But
Okay, Rodney.
I've never heard of him.
Okay.
His last name was Anonymous.
What?
I think they just put Anonymous in there for him to, like, be fancy.
Oh, because he's so famous, he wouldn't want his last name out there, because then he'd be bombarded with fans.
Exactly.
Yes.
Exactly. So, this Rodney isn't afraid of anything. He slept in the Borden house like it was nothing. He wasn't scared.
Okay.
But
Like the Lizzie Borden house.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Yep. While they were there, they experienced a bunch of different stuff. They were in a room and decided to put a box in front of the door. Don't know why. And something pushed the box away from the door, and they had feelings of terror after it moved.
Yeah, I would too. I think that's pretty
Just,
reasonable.
Seeing boxes move, it's a little terrifying.
I have feelings of terror about that as well.
They also brought a dog with them, and the dog didn't want to enter in certain rooms.
Yep.
And when a dog doesn't want to enter in certain rooms or they're acting weird, believe them.
You go with your animals.
Yep.
They've got better guts than you do.
They know what's going on. Mm-hmm. Around 2:30 a.m., their batteries went out in their flashlight. They replaced the batteries, and then a little while later, they were drained again. Then in a vacant room said to be frequented by Elizabeth Pratt, Kircher, who was one of the other guys with them, and Anonymous.
People are so weirdly mysterious about who they are.
Right? They set up a cassette recorder, a large old-school machine on which Kircher hoped they would capture sounds for the radio. I think he was like a host for a local radio in Pennsylvania. Mm-hmm. In quotes, we said, Elizabeth, if you are here, please show us, end quotes, Kircher said. They bolted the doors shut and went to other quarters. In the morning, the recorder had been turned on its edge. In quotes, it was on the windowsill, but the window was closed and it was too big to be blown by the wind, Kircher said. And like with the flashlights, the recorder battery died.
Dun, dun, dun.
I mean, to be fair, I don't know how long recorder batteries last.
Yeah.
If they would last all night.
Sure. But it was on a side.
Right.
After they bolted the room shut, so
Why you would
that's
bolt
mysterious.
The room shut is weird.
I don't know, to make sure no one went back and like messed with it or something.
I suppose, but are you allowed to bolt shut an old fort?
That's a great question. I don't know.
think they'd allow you to do that.
Yeah.
But
unless there was just a deadbolt on the door already and they just bolted it shut. That's what I was thinking.
Okay,
but, yeah.
that makes sense. So that's what they experienced.
That's a good number of things for one night.
I know.
Yeah.
We should go.
Yeah, let's do it.
So in the area of the Power magazine, I'm assuming that was like a gun or a tank or something.
Yep. We had this conversation on another episode. We were talking about like what actually is a magazine, and we weren't totally sure.
Isn't it? It's where the bullets and like your ammo goes.
Right, but like what is the Power
magazine? Maybe it's an automatic magazine.
But is it like a storage room for those parts then, or like
could be?
Okay.
I don't know.
I'm having a hard time picturing this in my head, but continue.
They're in some sort of Power magazine.
Okay.
Something. I don't know. If you know ammo or shit.
Ammo or shit, or forts and shit, guns
tell us,
and shit.
Because I don't know anything. There is a very friendly spirit that enjoys interacting with the visitors of the area.
Oh, fun.
He is dressed in the same apparel that a man who served in the Revolutionary War would wear. Many individuals believe that he is actually an employee, as he offers detailed tours of the fort. He actually answers questions, jokes, and loves to socialize. The office that handles visitors states that there is no such employee that dresses in this manner or offers the same tours that this spirit offers.
What?
Right? However, guests believe that he is quite real. So these people are just going on this random tour with this ghost who isn't affiliated with the fort at all.
He's giving
and he's just giving tours
and answering questions.
Yeah.
He's a freaking died and come back again. Fucking ghost tour guide. And wasn't
so
like
pretty cool.
And he's not like the handy bellman at the hotel who actually worked there in real life and then came back and continued to work there in the afterlife. He just fucking came back just because he wanted to give tours of the fort. Oh my god, that is so funny.
Telling him what he experienced at the fort.
I wonder, just the skeptic in me wonders if there's just some like local history enthusiast who
That's
just kind of
exactly what I was thinking.
shows up and just does that for fun and like isn't actually employed by the place, but you know,
And
like
then
the
just
volunteers
leaves.
at the zoo who so
Yep.
okay.
So it could be. I don't know.
Yeah, but I really like the idea of just a helpful ghost tour guide who loves his fort so much he's willing to come back and like help people explore it in the afterlife.
Exactly.
That's hilarious.
So the building that is now the main office used to be the hospital. On more than one occasion in the decade.
Which decade?
So a certain decade that is not told. Irby, who is the office manager, I think that's her last name, had worked for the fort, and she's heard furniture moving on the second floor. And nobody is up there, and the doors are always locked for security reasons.
I wonder if she worked there for a decade, and like during her decade of employment, that would make sense. Well, jinx.
On the second floor, the drawers of the director's desk and credenza would fly open on their own while Irby was sitting there. Irby chalks up the unexplained occurrences in the office building to resident ghost Edward, a docile spirit who likes to pull pranks on people.
Aw, Edward.
Edward pulling pranks.
You goon.
In quotes, he's kind of like a poltergeist. He used to be the caretaker of the hospital, says Irby.
Okay. According to you.
According to her. There is, however, one spot in the fort Irby will not go. One day, she ventured into the Power magazine.
Oh,
here we go. It's a large exterior mound of earth leading to a room where gunpowder used to be stored.
Oh, nice. Okay,
Got
guys,
it.
Redact the earlier statement. We know what it is now. A mound of earth?
A mound of earth.
You like walk through like a little dirt tunnel to get to the storeroom? Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Sounds right.
Sounds creepy.
Powder? Did I say power last time?
Yes.
This one says powder. Maybe it's supposed to be powder.
That makes, yes. Okay. That makes a lot more sense.
Well, my
than
sources
power.
are just getting all sorts of
All sorts of freaking typos.
Seriously.
Is it casemate or casement? Is it power or powder?
Powder makes more sense because gunpowder.
Shit together.
So we're gonna go with powder.
Yes, that makes so much more sense.
Yes,
I was
it
like,
does.
what the hell's a Power magazine? Like what?
I don't know. So powder.
Great.
Where am I?
Great question.
So she ventured into the Powder magazine and got what she described as a cold chill that stood the hairs of her neck on end. In quotes, "That's not like me at all. I had to get out of there," she says. "I just feel like something very evil happened in there and I won't go in there again."
Oh.
So,
Well.
we don't know if she stepped foot in there again, but it's got an evil presence.
Creepy.
I mean, being a powder area for gunpowder, who knows how much shit happened in there.
Yeah, and it was probably
could have
used.
exploded.
Well, it was probably used for multiple things too, right? Like, didn't you say that room used to be used for something else in your earlier notes? I made that up. But like this place is so old and they redesigned and renovated it so many times. It probably wasn't always a storeroom for gunpowder.
Right.
It was probably, I mean, it could have been a holding cell at one point. We don't know. So maybe something real bad happened there.
Most likely.
Yeah.
The whole place is just bad.
It is haunted.
So several years ago,
Wow.
Gerew. Garel.
Guru. Jeru.
Gary.
Let's go with Gary.
A person who leads ghost hunting tours identified a child ghost named Amanda.
Oh.
Irby doesn't know much about the ghost, except that she allegedly likes to hang out in the shed. One time, Amanda supposedly appeared to two visitors taking a self-guided tour of the fort. At the completion of the tour, the couple reported to Irby that they heard a little girl's voice around the shed call out, "Mommy!"
Oh, no.
The two were the only visitors in the fort at that time, and there were no children.
Creepy.
So creepy.
Small child.
So
Get away.
many people So many stories.
That's a lot of stories.
I know.
That's awesome. And they're like specific.
Yeah.
Not like footsteps, sounds,
Echoes.
cold spots,
Smells.
I do like smells though. I do
Them
love me a
floral
good
smells.
or them bad odor
Rank
smells.
meat smells. It's perfect.
Yeah, those ones are always interesting to me because I feel like those are somewhat hard to explain the origin of a very strong perfume odor. Like, if there's no one else around and you're suddenly getting a strong whiff of perfume, like, you could be having a brain aneurysm or it's a ghost in their perfume. Like, where else would that smell be coming from?
Right.
I actually like the smell ones.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's
Fort
Mifflin.
Mifflin. Fort Muffin.
Muffin. Fort Muffin.
Yep.
It's a new name for it.
Yes. It should become a bakery, and they should rename it Fort Muffin.
Oh, that'd be perfect.
Or we could just set up our own little bake stand, like, outside of the fort, and be like, this is Fort Mifflin, and we are Fort Muffin.
And we're here to provide you muffins at the Mifflin.
Yes. Muffins at the Mifflin on Mud Island. I love it. Okay. Whoa.
So
on to the most fun part of our podcast.
Craft Cocktail Cult.
Craft Cocktail Cup.
Ba-na-na. So
Anna is bringing us a recipe that she tried for Valentine's Day.
It's so fucking delicious.
And it's so pretty.
It's so beautiful.
It's unlike our last beverage. It's both pretty and it tastes good.
And it does taste good.
Versus just being pretty.
I apologize for the last drink,
and tasting
friends.
like shit.
Yep. So this next, it's a shot, not a beverage. Well, I mean,
Well,
I guess
it's
a shot
still
is
a beverage.
a beverage.
It's liquid, is it not?
Yes. Also, it's super thick, so it's a little hard to get down.
Yeah.
But we got this from the Tipsy Bartender on the Facebook, so thank you, Tipsy Bartender. It is called the Tainted Love Shot. So you're going to take your fabulous shot glass, and you're going to rim it with some corn syrup and then some beautiful pink sprinkles.
Which I'm so
we
mad.
still need to freaking find.
Because there's like 4 drinks that we've tried to make now that call for pink sprinkles
I know.
on the rim, and
we can't find it.
Find
Sprinkles
at the store.
I'm going to Target today after.
you check for them?
I'm gonna check for pink sprinkles. So Tainted Love Shot is quite delicious. So you're gonna first pour grenadine into the bottom of your shot glass, and then you're gonna do the super awesome spoon thing like we did in our flaming shot.
Yeah, for layering.
Yes, for layering. So you're gonna take your spoon and kind of put it into your shot glass, and you're gonna pour in. So it's all going to be like a third and a third and a third in your shot glass.
Equal parts.
Yes. So third grenadine, and then you're going to put your spoon in there, and then you're going to layer in a third of tequila rose, which I've never had, and it's so good.
It's like a strawberry cream tequila, right? Yeah.
It's delicious.
Also, to clarify, you're pouring over the back of the spoon.
Back of the
not
spoon.
Not the front of the spoon.
Not the front.
Yes.
Use the back. And then you'll use that same spoon and then layer in a third of Bailey's or your favorite Irish cream.
If you're cheap like me, you use Carolan's or whatever the off-brand is, because I'm too cheap to buy Bailey's anymore. So.
And then that is your shot. And then you try to drink it.
Try to drink it.
It's just so thick.
Yeah, it's all like very syrupy drinks.
Yes, grenadine is thick, and then your tequila rose is a thick creamy, and then your Bailey's obviously is thick creamy, so it's just cream.
Yeah.
But it's delicious.
You should throw some creme de banana
creme
on top.
de banana.
Our favorite.
So we want to try it next time and put some 151 on top.
Ooh, and light it on
flaming,
fire.
So then you'll get some like crystallization, hopefully maybe of the sugar, but not rim it with sugar.
And then it's like a burning tainted love.
Yes.
Which immediately made me think of an STD.
It's sort of a burning
Your
taint.
love got tainted by a burning STD sensation. Wow. Sorry, guys. That's where my mind went.
That's happening.
So please try this drink,
Try
friends.
it. It's freaking delicious.
If you do, please reach out to us and let us know what you think. Let us know what you think of the podcast, too. If you have places you'd like to hear us talk about or suggestions for what we should do for another 2-part special, please reach out to us.
Let us know.
Send us an email at nightmarenation19@gmail.com.
Or check us out on the social media on Facebook, Nightmare_Nation19, or the Instagram, Nightmare.Nation19.
We also want to hear from you if you have ever experienced anything scary or paranormal, or anyone you know has had an experience that they can't quite explain. We live for that shit.
Hell yeah.
I want to hear it.
Send us those stories,
Send
bitches,
them in.
because we want to know.
Don't make me hunt you down.
Don't make us.
In the meantime,
Don't seance.
Don't seance. Don't seance.
Don't seance.
Don't ghost.
Ouija board.
Don't Ouija board. Don't summon a ghost or don't become a ghost.
Yeah, just don't do any of it.
Avoid the situation.
Yeah, just be cool and safe and don't be dumb.
Yeah, don't be dumb.
Don't become a serial killer either.
Because for sure
cool.
don't do that. No, not okay. And we've said this before. Do not use a Ouija board to have a seance with the spirit of a serial killer.
Yeah, that's just a bad whole thing altogether.
Need to stay wherever they went.
Yep,
don't bring them back.
Please don't do it.
All right, friends. Until next time.
Bye.
Bye.